I'm not sad. I feel like, why am I here? Like I get so frustrated when I have to like read those Japanese names. And I cannot read it, so like I have to search, and it takes so much time. I feel like is there so many things going on. I cannot keep up with everything. I cannot remember everything. I feel so overwhelmed. It's so bad that like I'm here and I feel like I don't want to be here. And it's not even that bad. Like my condition is quite good, but I'm not even happy with that. But then even now that I'm here, but I don't feel happy. I feel like I don't even need money anymore. I feel like I can just do something and don't get a lot of money, but as long as I'm happy, it's okay. I don't even know why I want to stay in this country for so long, because it's so hard for me. I don't know. And like the more I feel passionate with, like the more I want to spend time on YouTube. I don't want it to affect my life and like with the work I'm doing, because I get so tired. I have to keep up with everything and I cannot even share it with people. It's just so tiring. Why can't I just be like other people and do normal job? They're not happy with it, but they are okay with it. Not, they don't get depressed like I do. I feel like there's no future. So today is the last day that I'm in this house, and I've been living here for like almost 2 years. And yeah, I have a lot of memories here, but also like I feel like most of the time that I was living in this house, I was not happy. I was unsatisfied with a lot of things in my life, and I really had a lot of hard time, and I was really sad and depressed for a long period of time, and I just really didn't enjoy being here. I felt really lonely. So I really thought that like after I get out of this house, I will have a better life, maybe.
Hello. Please press 1 to be connected to your counselor. You will now be connected to your counselor. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, like it just I moved to new house, and I started working in the new place for 2 days already.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
How many days? 2 days?
yeah. So like last week
Okay.
I had my last working day at the previous company, so I was really busy. Like I was doing really well for I think like 1 or 2 weeks, because I was so busy. Like I didn't really have time to think about anything. That was really okay until like 2 days ago, and then like kind of suddenly feel bad again. So yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
When you say that you were feeling good and then you feel bad, can you elaborate on some of the feelings that you were having? How, if that were true, how did we get to where we are right now?
Yeah. Hello guys, this is Lynn, and as you can see from the title of this video, today I'm going to talk about my depression. As some of you may have noticed, I was not posting any videos for almost 6 months, and the reason why was because I was too depressed. So during this period of time, I was still filming some videos, but I was too busy, and also I was not in a good state to actually edit any of these videos. I appreciate that many people actually reach out to me to check if I was doing okay, because I just disappear out of nowhere for no reason. And the fact that none of you actually know me in real life but still care so much about me, that meant a lot to me. Therefore, I really wanted to make this video to share with you guys what really happened. And also, I want to make this for myself as well, because I'm in a much better state now. I want to remind my future self that I got over all of this. A lot of people who watch my video told me that they are jealous of my life, but I just want them to know that my life isn't all good, and living in Japan has a lot of good sides, of course, but also it's really tough as well. I'm turning 25 this year, and so far the first half of my 20s has been so messy and much tougher than I ever expected. When I was really depressed, I watched a lot of videos and also read a lot of things on the internet, and I realized that I was not the only one who was going through all these negative thoughts and emotions. Therefore, I hope that if you're going through some kind of hard time or you're depressed right now, if you watch this video, I hope that you'll feel like you're not alone at all and we are all in this together. To explain why I was depressed, we'll have to go back to 2016 when I was in my 4th year in university. So I went to this Japanese university in Kyushu, southern Japan, and in Japan, you'll have to look for a job 1 year before you graduate. So this process is called sukatsu, which I also explained in another video, and if you're interested in this process, I'll put the link at the corner of this video. Japanese students normally graduate in March, but my school was a bit special, so we have students graduating in September as well, and I was one of them. So for students who graduate in March, they normally have a year to actually look for a job, but for students who graduate in September, like me, we have only 6 months. At this point, I don't really know why, but I didn't really think much about working after graduating from university, so I had no idea what kind of jobs I wanted to do, and also I was really confused, like I don't know if I want to continue studying or actually start working. I don't know if I want to stay in Japan or if I want to go back to my country, Vietnam. I really enjoy making videos and creating new things, so I was considering to get into fine arts, and I really wanted to study filmmaking in graduate school. So I applied to this school in Korea and under a scholarship program called KGSB. So the schools I applied to actually accepted me, but I didn't pass the last round for the scholarship, so I couldn't afford it and I couldn't go. So the last option that I had at this point was to apply for a job in Japan. There are normally a lot of companies coming to my school to recruit students every year, but I was not motivated enough and I was not sure what to do. So my application became so late that by the time that I was trying to look for a job seriously, there were not many options around anymore. Because of that, I decided to go to Tokyo to do job hunting around June 2016. So back then, it was quite expensive to live in Tokyo by myself. So I was doing an internship during the day and I was doing a part-time job in a hostel at night from 9 p.m. to around 1 a.m. several days a week. So this part-time job that I was doing, I had to stay there from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. and I can sleep there after finishing work around 1 a.m. So normally I was sleeping there and then I will go straight to my workplace in the morning. So it was pretty hard for me, and I use all my other free time to actually look for companies and to go to job fairs, to meet recruiting agency, and also to apply for jobs. During this period, I think I applied for around 30 to 40 companies, and I kind of stopped counting after that. I applied to so many, and also I failed almost all of them. And at this point, I was feeling really depressed and sad. I felt like I could do anything. I'm really fast at working and I'm fast at learning, but why wouldn't anyone actually want to hire me? So I was really sad in general. That's one thing about job hunting in Japan, is that when we look for a job as a new graduate, we tend to apply for the company but not for the job. if that makes sense. So when we are asked to tell the company the reason why we want to apply for that company, normally it's more about like why I want to work for that company rather than why I want to do this specific position. So I was really confused, like it was really hard for me to come up with a reason to answer those questions. So I was not sure at all. And I think that was one of the reasons why I kept failing so many interviews. During job hunting in Japan, you are also required to wear this recruiting suit. Basically, it's just a black suit and everyone looks the same during job hunting. So I was really hating this because I don't like to try to follow rules and try to be like everyone else. I felt like I was erasing my own personality. So like having to follow these rules and to wear this suit itself was kind of like giving me a hard time as well. It was around the beginning of August and it was around 1 month before my graduation, and I was not receiving any offer at all, and I was really worried and panicked because if I cannot find a job by graduation, I will have to leave Japan. And for my nationality, I cannot get any kind of working holiday visa, and I cannot even come to Japan for a while just with like tourist visa easily. So I was thinking that if I have to go to Vietnam, it's gonna be hard for me to come back to Japan. So I really wanted to find a job before graduation at any cost. And I think it was possible for me to kind of apply for this kind of visa that allows me to continue to do job hunting for another 6 months. But I don't know why it was not like I was not really considering that option at that time. And I feel like it's the best if I can find a job before graduation. So I was like under a lot of stress. I was desperate, and at that point I was willing to take any kind of job offers no matter what the job is. And somehow around mid-August I received 2 offers almost around the same time, and one of them was in the service industry and another one is basically a desk work job. And I ended up taking the second one because it was more stable and they give a lot of good benefits, and I kind of felt like the job description was something that I could do, and I thought that I could actually use some of my English skill in the job as well. But somehow when I went to the interview, I felt like it was not the company that I want to be in. I didn't feel like I belong there, and also I don't feel like the company fits me well. But I didn't have any other choice, so I was just going with the flow and I just accepted the job. I went back to Vietnam for around 4 to 5 months after graduation. Then I came back to Japan again for working in March 2017. And that was when my depression began. My company was located in a very countryside area of Yokohama, so there was basically nothing around. I was staying in my company's dorm for around 1 month and a half, and there was no internet connection and the place was really far away from everything. After that, I moved to an apartment that my company rented for me. Where I live was really close to the company, only around 15 minutes by walk. So when I went outside, it was really common to run into my coworkers, and normally I don't know any of them, but they all know me because I'm like one of the only foreigners in the company. So I was really conscious all the time, and I kind of felt like a bit uncomfortable and awkward and felt like I'd have no freedom. My apartment and my company was so far away and there was nothing around, there was nothing interesting to do at all. All of my friends were living in the central area of Yokohama or in Tokyo, so when I want to meet them, it will take me around 45 minutes to 1.5 hours per way just to get to see them. So I felt really lonely and isolated. Also, the average age of the people in my company was over 40 years old, and the majority of them was male, and almost everyone was Japanese who had little experience with foreigner. The university that I went to was really international and not Japanese at all, so I was really having a hard time to get along with people and I couldn't really talk to anyone, and this made me even lonelier and my social need wasn't met at all. When I was in university, I used mainly English and rarely had to speak any Japanese at all. So at first it was really hard for me to work in a fully Japanese environment. In my first months, I made a lot of stupid mistakes because I couldn't understand fully what was going on around me. Even though my Japanese level was N2, which was around business level. For example, one day everyone was asked to wear a suit when they come to the company, and somehow I made a mistake and I just came with uniform because I didn't understand well, and it was really embarrassing because everyone else was wearing suit and I was the only one standing out and wearing uniform. So that was like one of the things that I did back then. I was also struggling a lot to go through all the documents in Japanese, and my job was kind of tough even for Japanese people because it requires me to be able to understand and to be able to explain some very complicated legal documents. Also, I was required to do the task and to process information very fast without making any mistakes. As a foreigner, I was already standing out, so I became really conscious of all of my actions, and I always tried to be as invisible as possible. My boss was also really strict, so it was really hard for me to ask any kind of questions. There were a lot of cultural differences that I didn't know about before, and I also learned a lot about the working culture in Japan. So there were a lot of things going on at the same time, and there were a lot of new things that I had to learn. So it was quite overwhelming. There were a lot of rules I had to follow as well, so I was not feeling like I had enough freedom. And also there were a lot of things that they asked me to do, but I felt like it was impossible because it was just really hard for me. But of course at the end I was able to do it somehow. It just like everything was so overwhelming and it put me under a lot of stress. So I started to become very scared of going to work. I don't know since when, but I started to cry every single day before I go to work and after I got back from work. I was terrified and I really felt like I had some kind of mental problems, and being lonely just made everything worse. But then my Japanese skill was lacking and it was like my own problem, so I couldn't just complain about it. Also, I was receiving money to do my job, so all I could do was to work harder to improve my Japanese and my working skills, and also learn to be stronger and learn how to deal with people at work, because you cannot just change people and you cannot just expect people to treat you in a certain way. Every day when I was going outside my house, I was kind of patting my head like this, and I was just telling myself that everything was going to be okay to cheer myself up. Another problem that I had was that my job wasn't exciting either because it involves a lot of desk work, and it was the same routine every single month. As I mentioned before, I'm really into arts and creating things, so I really wanted to be in a creative environment where I get to do new things and try to challenge myself, but all of this were not possible at my company at that time. I wasn't sure what I was doing, and I felt like I'm really young, so I felt like it was such a waste to live this life 8 hours per day and 5 days per week, and I felt like I belonged to somewhere else. At this time, maybe because of stress and depression, I was sleeping a lot. Some days I would just come home around 6 p.m. then I went straight to bed, and I just wake up the next day around 5 to 6 a.m. And this made me even more depressed because I felt like I just came back from work and I closed my eyes, and the next moment I was about to go to work again. It's just like a never-ending cycle. On days that I didn't sleep early, I would just watch movies on Netflix or Amazon, and somehow this made me feel like my life has no meaning at all. I'm not doing anything. On weekends, I would normally go to Tokyo to meet friends and When I was depressed, we tend to go to bars or pubs to hang out, and I drank a lot of alcohol to kill the time. However, alcohol obviously didn't help me at all. It actually made everything even worse in general. I remember some days I was tipsy after drinking with my friends, and I was going home, and I was literally leaning on strangers in the crowded train, and I was asking myself, like, what am I doing here? What am I doing with my life? Why am I so not happy? I was always aware that I had a stable job with really good salary, a lot of days off. The company is pretty nice, pretty stable with good benefits. I have a big house. I am healthy. I'm better off than many other people around me. So why can't I just be happy? It was so hard to get this job. But for what? Because I'm not even enjoying my life. I started to understand that stability and money cannot buy happiness at all. I just felt miserable all the time, and I think it was pretty obvious to all my friends. I started to not know who I was anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I started to doubt everything that I was believing in. I just wanted to rebel. I felt like for my generation, to have a job that is stable and well paid isn't that important anymore. Compared to my parents' generation, I think they would just do anything to be able to earn enough money to survive and to feed our family. But for my generation, it's not necessary anymore. We start to have this need to do something more meaningful and to make us feel more fulfilled. So in general, I was just feeling really depressed, and I didn't know what to do. I was really lost. My depression reached its peak in August 2017 when I traveled by myself to Korea. At this point, I wasn't really myself. I doubted everything in my life, and I also drank a lot of alcohol in Korea. And I looked so depressed that when I was eating in this restaurant, the owner just came to me and asked if the food was bad because I was not eating at all, and I looked so down. I don't know, like at that time, I was not working anymore because it was a long break. So I just wanted to run away. I didn't want to come back at all, and I just wanted a different life. After I came back from Korea, I made a decision that made my life a bit better, which was to create this YouTube channel. And up until now, I'm really glad that I actually decided to start posting on YouTube. So I posted my first video in September 2017, and since then I've been trying to post video consistently every single week. I really love making video, and planning for each video really cheered me up a lot, and growing my channel became one of the goals that I want to achieve. So I felt like in some way my life become less meaningless, and my mental condition improved a lot since then. Anyway, all this time I knew that I wanted to leave this job, but I was not sure what I will do after that. Also, if I quit my job, I will need to find another job within 3 months to be able to stay in Japan and to keep my working visa. Therefore, I kept saving a big amount of money every month so that I could use that money for something else, whether to study in another country or to support my living expense in case I don't have another job right away after quitting the job that I was doing. And my work got really busy around the end of December 2017 to around February 2018. During this period of time, a lot of things happened at work, and it really went over my limit at one point that made me really want to quit right away. It was like the last push that I needed to find a way to get out. So I happened to find a design school around February 2018. After consulting with them, I was suggested to take a web design course, and it is something that I have always been interested in. So I really wanted to give it a try. And at this point, I really wanted to quit my job and focus on studying, but this school was not able to support my visa. So they told me it's the best for me if I keep working and take classes on the weekend, then find a job after finishing the course. So I really didn't have any other choice, so I spent all my first year savings to pay the tuition fee for this web design course, and I had to spend the next 8 months to finish the course. So from late April 2018, I was working on the weekdays from Monday to Friday and go to classes from 10 a.m. to around 7 p.m. every Saturday. And then I spent all my free time studying more or making YouTube videos. So I had a very hectic and busy life back then. It was getting harder for me to have time for socializing and meeting friends. However, I was getting much better at my job and I was not having as much trouble anymore, and my Japanese skill also improved significantly. There wasn't anything that I couldn't do at work anymore, even if it's a new task. Somehow I kind of figured out how to deal with it and how to finish it. So I was still depressed and negative, but things were not that bad, and I thought that if I just wait until I finish the course and change the job, then everything will be fine. I was a bit worried about looking for another job as well, but nothing too serious. And that's when something happened to my personal life that really pushed me to the bottom again. And this time it was even worse than last time. And this was in August 2018. I will not share the details, but I will just say that I lost someone who played a big part in my life. When I was depressed, I normally thought to myself that even if the whole world goes against me, I will still have this person next to me. And when the person was gone, every single thing collapsed. Everything I believe in, everything I planned for, things that I never imagined would happen to me actually happened. And this was when emotion became physical pain. I had the first panic attacks in my life and I didn't even know what a panic attack was, but it happened. I constantly had pain in my chest, my heart was beating really fast, I couldn't breathe normally, my stomach hurt, my hands were shaking, and I felt like vomiting all the time. But there was like absolutely nothing I could do to stop this sick feeling. Some days I was sitting on my floor and I started crying, not because of sadness, but because it was so painful. And it was too painful to bear. When the panic attacks were gone, I was filled with sadness and I just cried everywhere. I cried on the train, on the street, in my room, in the toilet at work. I was covering my face with masks all the time, hoping that people will notice that tears are falling down on my face. And I didn't feel like there's any reason to live. After all the depression and sadness, I understand how some people want to kill themselves. I'm strong enough to not to want to die, but it's just sometimes when I look at trains coming at the station and I wonder what will happen if I jump, or like who will find out first if I die. And now I'm okay, so it kind of feels ridiculous, like the whole idea just feels ridiculous to me right now. But back then, when at that time, it felt really real and it was like very serious. I went to mental clinic in Japan for the first time in my life and it was surprisingly crowded. I don't know why. Maybe it was just on that day, I'm not sure, or that period. But anyway, I think the doctor gave me some pills to reduce anxiety. But like overall, I didn't feel like it helped much. And the doctor also didn't help me much. So I just didn't go back after that. So this went on for several months. And at first I couldn't sleep at all and I couldn't stand being alone. I think whenever I was not at work, I would just go somewhere, do something, meet someone, or I tend to go to my friend's house to sleep a lot. Or I would just call my friends and keep them on the phone so that I didn't have to be alone. I had nightmare every single day and I would wake up very early in the morning with intense heartache and I felt like I was on the verge of breaking down. Now that I'm talking about this, it just kind of feels surreal. But I remember that I've never been in worse situation in my life and I felt broken in every single way. Like sometimes I could feel that the bad emotion, the bad feeling are coming, and like I cannot do anything about it. I just like fall into that feeling, and I just get into it so deep that it just like breaks me down. I normally wake up early from nightmare, and after that I just couldn't fall asleep again. I felt nauseous all the time. It was really hard for me to eat anything. I felt like vomiting all the time, even when I tried to eat. So I lost a lot of weight during this time, and I had just no way to improve my condition. So I tried to have hot soup every morning when I woke up, so that helped a little bit. Screaming and crying was something that I just went through almost every day. My feelings were so complicated. It's not just one single feeling, but it's like always like a combination of many feelings together. It was so intense that I was not even sure if it was a good thing that I went through all of this kind of experience at such a young age or not. At one point, I was so scared of leaving, because I knew that what I went through would just be one of the painful experience that I'm gonna have in my life. So just like suddenly I was so scared of leaving. I was so scared of going through that again later in my life. Now I'm not that scared anymore, but back then it was pretty serious. And of course I had friends and family, and they tried to help me a lot. They tried to stay with me and try to cheer me up, and they talked to me all the time. I'm really grateful for that, but the thing is that they couldn't really help me to get better. And I think morning and evening were the worst time, because it was really hard to distract myself right when I wake up, or before I go to bed, or like when I'm walking to work, or when I walk back from work. And my mom told me that there's nothing I cannot get over, and that I should not depend on other people, and I should learn to try to get better by myself. So I knew I was the only one who could change my life and who could help myself. So that's what I did. So I did many things to try to get better. So at first I couldn't sleep. So my friends suggested me this meditation app called Headspace. I've been using it for meditation as well as listening to their sleepcasts, which are kind of like bedtime stories when I go to bed. And I also listen to a lot of motivational video and a lot of meditation videos on YouTube. I think they changed my life significantly. So I'm gonna put some of the videos that I was watching in the description box in case anyone wants to watch it. And I also stopped using social media like Facebook or Instagram, because looking at some people gave me panic attacks, and like I felt so sick that I just needed to get out. Like the moment I see them or their pictures or whatever, I just feel so sick in my stomach that it was crazy. And I just block whoever made me feel uncomfortable, and I just try to pay attention to my emotion, and I try to prioritize myself, and so far it's been working really well for me. I knew that I had to change my environment, because it was one of the biggest reasons why I was going through depression. So I really tried my best to work on my CV and on my portfolio to look for another job. I finally got a job as a web designer and moved out of my previous apartment. I really like my job right now, and I really like the people I'm working with. I really like the place that I'm living in. So when I went back to my previous house to return it, it was pretty emotional. But like I'm so happy that I'm not there anymore. Like I finally got out of that. Now I live in a very convenient place, so it's so easy for me to meet my friends, and also it get easier for me to do activities that I'm interested in, or like now I can even like go to the gym or like do some kind of things that I want to do.
読んで訳してみていただいていいですか?
왜 한국어를 공부하세요? なぜ韓国語を勉強しますか? 한국 친구들과 이야기하려고 공부해요. 한국の友達と話すために勉強します。
話すために勉強します。
왜 한국어를 공부하세요? 한국 친구들과 이야기하려고 공부해요. And things have been so much better, and I'm like genuinely happy now. So for a few months I was talking to a counselor on this app called BetterHelp, but then I got so much better that now I don't really need it anymore. But anyone who needs someone to talk to about their problems, and if you can afford it, I really recommend BetterHelp. So I got better. One day I was sleeping and I woke up and I was not waking up early anymore. I slept so well that I didn't even know how long it has been since I was last able to sleep that well. So I felt really happy on that day. Finally, I could sleep like a normal person again. And one day I was watching movies, and I was watching like a bunch of movies, and I was watching until really late. I don't know, suddenly I felt so comfortable, and it just hit me that I haven't had this feeling for such a long time. I'm just so happy to be able to finally enjoy being by myself without feeling sad or miserable. And just now there are so many things that I want to do, and there are a lot of things I want to achieve and a lot of things I want to learn. For example, I want to get like driving license, or I want to learn how to swim, or I want to learn things to help me to get better at my job, and the list still goes on, and I'm just really excited for my future. So these days at night, sometimes it's still hard to deal with my feelings, but still I think I'm doing pretty fine. And overall, I think I learned a lot about myself, and it turned out to be a pretty good experience, and I'm spending time to get to know myself again, to understand myself more, to improve myself, and also to love myself more. I also realized that even though my previous job was really good and my company was really good and everyone was nice, but to have a job that fits me and my personality, to have a job that I enjoy doing is much more important. And I learned that life will always be so unexpected. You just have to kind of accept it the way it is, and you cannot change the past, but you can always change your future. And even if you go back in time and redo the past, probably you change the dynamic of everything, and it probably still wouldn't get any better. Everything just happened for a reason, and it made you the person you are today. So just let it be. Whatever that is bothering you now, you just have to let it go and accept it, and just don't let it define who you are. I think you are the only one who can define yourself. You cannot control how people behave and what is happening to you, but you can always control your own action and what you're going to do about it. And in fact, like, you're stronger than you think. I think I learned that happiness is something that you kind of have to strive for and work for. It doesn't just happen. Like, if you're not happy, you just have to get out. You have to find ways to make yourself happy. No one can actually fix you or make you happy but yourself. So just don't wait for others to do the job for you. So these are the things that I've been trying to tell myself every day and to remind myself of whenever I start to feel bad again. And as you can see, I'm much happier now. So I'll try to make more videos again in the future. Thank you so much for your support up until now, and I know that I talked a lot today, but thank you for watching, and that's all for now, and I will see you again soon. Bye!